Ad Nauseam Tendrils made top 4 of Eternal Weekend Europe in the hands of Hanlin X. Today, we're playing that deck list. Let's go check it out. This video is proudly sponsored by Card Market. In front of you is the deck list by Hanlin X that made top 4 of Eternal Weekend Europe. Today we're going to discuss the deck list a little bit and then hop on in and play a league. If you like how that sounds, like, comment, subscribe. I'm sure I'll have plenty of other great content that you'll also enjoy. So this deck list, as I mentioned, top 4 of Eternal Weekend Europe. Congratulations to Hanlin in the Ant community, etc., etc. So let's talk about what changed from the last video I played, and you can find that one in the card above because it's honestly fairly similar. It has the identical mana base as the one of Chrome Mox. It has all of this stuff is the same. You get down to Preordain. That's the first change. Hanlin went down to 3 copies from 4. Maybe 12 1 mana blue cantrips was too many. And then Hanlin swapped for the 4th Thoughtseize for the 4th Duress. Okay, so you just swap discard spells. That's relatively the same. What changed? Instead of the 4th Preordain, we have 1 copy of Rain of Filth. Okay, so you have a pseudo 5th copy of Dark Ritual? Yes, but there's another kicker here. So putting lands to your graveyard is actually beneficial when you're a Cabal Ritual deck. Legacy has sped up a bunch, which means that having this Rain of Filth to enable your threshold faster is pretty critical to how Ad Nauseam Tendrils functions. So I like playing the 1 copy of Rain of Filth. I believe that it makes a lot of sense. And then after that, the deck is exactly the same. So the main deck from the last video I changed is, or from the last video I played, is just the change of the 4th Preordain for 1 Rain of Filth. Okay, well that's not a huge difference maker, so clearly this deck list has some power to it. When we look at the sideboard, this is where the changes really are. So Hanlin added in 1 Fairy Macabre instead of a sideboard wish target of Massacre. There's a Chain of Vapor and a Hurkyl's Recall instead of the 2 copies of Defense Grid. And then instead of Grape Shot, there's a Torment of Hailfire. So this is one of the more big changes to the deck list, in my opinion. I'm not sure how good this card actually is because I've never played it. I have no experience with this card, so I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm kind of hoping to find out today because this is the card that piques my interest the most. So what is Torment of Hailfire? For X black, you get a sorcery. Repeat the process X times. So if you spend 10 mana on it, you repeat this process 10 times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card from their hand. So if they have 7 cards in their hand and you pay 10, they could discard their whole hand and then lose 9 life. Okay, well that's not great if you're spending 12 mana on a card. Well, and then they could sacrifice permanents too. So how much mana do you have to put into Torment of Hailfire? That's what I'm really interested today. This could beat a Veil of Summer. It can beat One Ring, which is what Grape Shot couldn't do. Grape Shot does beat Veil of Summer, but it does not beat the One Ring. So that's why Torment of Hailfire is here. And I just want to know how good it is. So I'm hoping we get to use it, and stick around and find out if we do. Congratulations once again to Hanlin X, and I'll see you in the first match. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. It's time for the first match, and we're on the play with Ad Nauseam Tendrils. Let's go. Alright, so we have the classic Brainstorm plus Fetch opener. We'll keep this. So one of the things about Ad Nauseam Tendrils, it's a deck that requires a lot of resources. You don't have an undo button. There's no Echo of Aeons or anything like that. So every piece of cardboard is extremely valuable, which means that you don't want to mulligan and you're more likely to keep hands that sort of, I don't want to say don't do anything, but require more sculpting and finesse in order to get there. So what I will say is that we have 2 copies of Cabal Ritual, and we cannot fill the graveyard quickly. So we're hoping this Brainstorm can get rid of this Tendrils of Agony, and then the Burning Wish can find our sideboard copy of Peer into the Abyss. So one thing that I do like about Ad Nauseam Tendrils is that it's a deck that's better at casting the sideboard Peer into the Abyss. due to having Cabal Ritual in it, and that is a strength of this deck. So when I view this hand, I am seeing a win that most likely involves Peer into the Abyss, but we won't know until we get there. That is an option we have. It doesn't mean that we have to do it. We'll play this Polluted Delta and pass. Meticulous Archive. Okay, so this could be one of two decks. It could be Cephalid Breakfast, the deck that won Eternal Weekend Europe. It could also be the Esper Stifle Knot deck that my podcast co-host Bryant Cook played to a top 8 finish at Eternal Weekend Europe as well. So those are the two things that come to mind here. I suppose it could be something like Jeskai Control, but I sort of doubt it. They get rid of an Urza's Saga. Okay, sure. So to me, that means it's more likely to be the Stifle Knot deck. Duress. Okay, let's play Brainstorm. That resolves. And I mean, that was pretty darn good. We will get rid of the Tendrils of Agony and ponder. And then in order to avoid a stifle on my Polluted Delta, we're just going to fetch now. So I am slightly afraid of Daze here, but if we wait to play Duress next turn, let's just do some quick math. So if I wait till next turn, so the Duress would be cast off the... Actually, it doesn't even work. I guess I'd have to start on Rain of Filth. So and then we'd have to draw a land. I'm better off just playing Duress right now then. So we'll play the Duress now. And they did have the Daze. Okay, we will take the Daze. There's no point in taking a Brainstorm when they have two of them. Like, I'm going to try to shove my win next turn, and they either find Force of Will off of Brainstorm or they don't. So next turn we can play Rain of Filth. Ooh, they drew the land. They surveilled a Urza Saga to the graveyard, so this was a very good draw for them. Because now they can look at a total of 6 cards looking for Force of Will. We find our own Brainstorm. Okay. We'll play that. I don't need to jam my head into a Force of Will, necessarily. 2 more lands. Alright, so... I think we'll wait and then Brainstorm again next turn. I suppose they could be a Thoughtseize deck, so maybe we'll hide the Burning Wish on top. We'll play the Volcanic Island and pass. So end step, they now Brainstorm. And they fetch with Polluted Delta in their upkeep. They did not get a black mana source. Okay. They have 4 cards in hand. What they could do is play Tamiyo and then Brainstorm. But it looks like they're choosing to hold open mana. We'll play the other Brainstorm, hopefully finding a discard spell. We don't, but we do find an Infernal Tutor. So that gives us 2 pieces of... what am I looking for here? For some reason, I was blanking on words right now. Action? We'll go with action. But I did not find a fetch land. So what I could do is Infernal Tutor for another Burning Wish and pass. But there's no sideboard discard spell. So that's actually not the best. So I think the move here is we're going to get rid of the Rain of Filth in the basic swamp. And we'll ponder looking to shuffle. And we will in fact shuffle. Okay, so next turn we're hoping to just punch a hole through a Force of Will, winning just, you know, like just plow right through it. And it is in fact Stifle Knot. That's what the Doorkeeper Thrall means. This doesn't actually do much against Ad Nauseam Tendrils other than shut off the 1 copy of Crow Mox. We go to 18 life, and now they'll play the other Brainstorm. No land again. They still have 4 cards. We draw another Infernal Tutor. We'll lead on Dark Ritual, and we'll play a Cabal Ritual. This does have Threshold, so if it resolves, it makes 5, and it does. So now we can play Infernal Tutor again. And I really wish that there was a sideboard discard spell in this list. I think we're supposed to just grab another Cabal Ritual. We'll play Cabal Ritual, play Cabal Ritual, play a copy of Lion's Eye Diamond. They let that resolve, and now we'll play Burning Wish floating 9 mana. Force of Will exiling Daze. Okay, so now we will play Infernal Tutor. They have Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student, plus 1 unknown card in their hand. If they let this resolve, we could beat a Stifle. We could even beat a Force of Will. So we'll grab the Past in Flames, and now we'll play it. And if they do have a Force of Will, we could just flash back the Past in Flames, and this game is over. So no matter what's in their hand, we've got them. And our opponent concedes. Sweet. Off to the post-board games. I'm not really sure what we would like to bring in versus a deck like Stifle Knot. There's no Abrupt Decay or a Braid or anything like that. So if you do bring in anything, it's probably bounce spells, which don't seem amazing in the matchup. You could try like a few copies of like Echoing Truth or Chain of Vapor. You could probably take out the Chrome Mox. Like, this isn't a speed-based matchup, and the card we're afraid of is like Null Rod. But one feature of Ad Nauseam Tendrils is that you do have Dark Ritual and Cabal Ritual, so there's some number of games where you won't even need these powerful artifacts. I don't even think I want to bring in anything else. Like, I'll just do the one Echoing Truth. I think everything else in our deck is better, and we're not really equipped with our sideboard for this matchup. The list that I recorded last time had a couple copies of Defense Grid. That would be a card I would bring in here. However, Hanlin didn't need it to make top 8 of top 4 of Eternal Weekend Europe, so I'm going to trust Hanlin here. We will keep this. A turn 1 Tamiyo Inquisitive Student. We draw Duress. Okay, I like that. We're going to play our fetch land now, just to avoid Stifle. We'll grab that basic swamp, and let's play the... Actually, let's play out Lotus Petal first, so I can at least threaten to pay for days. And now we'll Duress. Force of Will, Double Ponder, and Curie Emergent Intelligence. This is a card that works well with Phyrexian Dreadnought. We'll take the Force of Will. Pass the turn. So they'll attack with the Tamiyo. When they do, they investigate, which means that they get to create a clue token. I imagine now they'll play the Urza Saga, and then they have a decision between casting Ponder, playing Curie, or the clue token. If I was in their seat, I would play the Ponder. But let's see what they do. Apparently they drew Brainstorm. Okay, so they're going to flip their Tamiyo here. And then that means that this turn they can plus the Planeswalker side of Tamiyo. And then next turn they can use the minus ability of Tamiyo to return the discarded Force of Will to their hand. Alright, so Tamiyo is transformed into a Planeswalker. They can now plus it, as I mentioned. And that means next turn they can use the second ability to -3. And they have Soul Guide Lantern. Wow, that was a very good brainstorm for them. Okay, so they're in a decent spot here. We draw another Lotus Petal. I believe we should just use Infernal Tutor here to go grab another copy of Dark Ritual. And the plan, at least for the moment, is that next turn, hoping I draw something like a land, is that I can go Thoughtseize, land, play Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Infernal Tutor for Ad Nauseam, and then the Ad Nauseam would hopefully win. And they do return the Force of Will with the Tamiyo, and they drew another Urza's Saga, so they have Force of Will again in their hand. We know all 4 cards. Alright. Terrible draw! Ay. We have to pass. This is one of the downsides of playing Infernal Tutor. So if you're unfamiliar, this card is not Demonic Tutor. It gets a card from your hand that you reveal. So on turn 2, for example, I revealed the Dark Ritual, so I was able to go get a second copy of Dark Ritual. Okay? And when you have no hand, you can get any card. So that's the Hellbent mechanic here. If you have no cards in hand, you can get any card. When you pair that with Lion's Eye Diamond, which is a card that says that you use the abilities of mana source, so it cannot be countered, you discard your hand and then add 3 mana of any color, like a Black Lotus. So it has the upside in Legacy where it makes Hellbent for you as an additional cost. So that's a nice feature. Here we see the downside where we draw a card that stops us from becoming Hellbent and we were unable to win the game. They draw a card with a clue token. And then they plus the Tamiyo. Okay. They attack for 3. We'll go to 16. And now they use the Mishra's Bauble on themselves. And they pass the turn. Okay, so they'll draw a card off the Mishra's Bauble. And then we'll draw a card for turn, which is a Cabal Ritual. I believe that we're supposed to hold tight and just try to get them with Tendrils of Agony. So my game plan currently is next turn we draw another spell. And then Dark Ritual, Infernal Tutor for Thoughtseize, play Thoughtseize. Basically, you want to get them to interact, and then once they interact, they're pretty close to being dead to Tendrils of Agony. They were unable to find a card with the last chapter of Urza Saga. Okay, good deal. They play a Polluted Delta, so this would bring them to 18. I'm sorry, 19. And then if they use the Force of Will, they would go to 18, which is good for me. Now they play the Curie, Emergent Intelligence, and they plus the Tameo again. Still 6 cards in hand, 2 Ponders. So there's a reason they're not casting Ponder. They either have a 1-mana piece of interaction like Stifle or Consign to Memory, or they have so many Force of Will effects that they need them as blue cards. Brainstorm was a wonderful draw. We'll play that. Because this can draw into another spell, and it does. We'll keep both of those on top. And now we'll play Preordain as another spell. And we'll keep the Polluted Delta. We'll play it. And the fact that we drew double cantrip this turn was really good for the Tendrils of Agony in our hand. Alright, so I'll grab Badlands. We'll play out Lotus Petal. And let's try a Dark Ritual. We'll try another copy of Dark Ritual. Infernal Tutor. Storm count is 6. We'll reveal a Thoughtseize. And then we'll get another copy. And now we'll play the first copy of Thoughtseize, which is Storm 7. The Force of Will, exiling Ponder. Okay. We'll play the other copy of Thoughtseize. And they play a Daze. We will pay for Daze. Storm is now 10. Stifle, Ponder, and then Inoculus. I believe our opponent is dead. So we will now play Cabal Ritual. I guess they could draw into a Daze off of the Soul Guide Lantern, and that would beat me. Okay. Here it is. Cabal Ritual on the stack. No way! Force of Will! Oh, wow. Yeah, my opponent said top deck. Yeah, I'm aware. Oh, geez. So you might be thinking like, oh, well, if you would have sequenced differently, you could have won there. We were in trouble throughout that entire sequence. If I go Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, and then they counterspell the Cabal Ritual, you're flat dead in the water. So maybe they don't counter it, but maybe they do. I believed that the line using double Thoughtseize was better, but it didn't get there. So now we have to win game number 3. Wow. That happens sometimes when you play Magic. This hand is delightful. We will keep. Yeah, so going back to my comment about like where you play the Cabal Ritual, I believe that I played it in a manner where it's a card that you want to resolve, and if you lead with it early, you can be punished. I was punished there by the top of my opponent's deck. It doesn't mean that it was the wrong decision. It just is a decision that did not work. And there's differences in Magic where there's a lot of armchair commenters that are like, clearly you should have done this because it didn't work, and that's not always true. You can make the right play and not have it work. That is something that can happen. And I'm not saying that it's impossible for me to misplay. I misplay all the time. I'm just saying that sometimes you can do the right thing and it won't work out. They kept a pretty good hand here. They play Mercer's Bauble. So they'll have 2 chances to draw into another copy of Force of Will or other interaction. They play the Polluted Delta. They pick up a Tundra. And they play the Tameo. So that says to me that they did not find what they were looking for. So if I draw another Lion's Eye Diamond, I would jam an Ad Nauseam here. Cabal Ritual does not do it. That leaves me 1 mana short. But what we can do is play Preordain and hope to find a Dark Ritual. Or I could find this, which is just perfect. So I believe we'll keep both of these. I'll keep the Lion's Eye Diamond. And then the question is, do you play them out now or do you wait until next turn? I don't know if I have strong opinions on that. So next turn you have Storm Count. The downside is if they have Consign to Memory, you get punished that way. I think I'm going to hold them for Storm. So now the opponent will attack with Tameo. Once again, they investigate, which means that they get to create a clue token. There's the known Wasteland. And are you not going to use it? Really? Okay, we'll play the Badlands. We know that they have a Daze in hand. So let's start with Cabal Ritual, because it's a card that doesn't matter a whole lot here. And if you go Thoughtseize Cabal Ritual and then they have drawn Force of Will, that's terrible because they could just Daze Cabal Ritual. So if you lead on the Cabal Ritual here, you don't get punished, if that makes sense. They play Daze. So this line tells me that our opponent drew another copy of Daze. Let's see if I'm right. And they did. All right, so we have to wait a turn, and we'll pass. And that is why they did not wasteland. So now they'll play the Tundra again, holding open the wasteland. And they could wasteland me here. Let's see what they end up doing. And they don't wasteland. Let's see if they do it in my upkeep. They don't. We draw the Tendrils of Agony again. Ay, can't get that card away from me. And they drew Force of Will. They wanted to hold open the Doorkeeper Thrall. We'll take the Force of Will. Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll play a second copy of Lion's Eye Diamond. And now we will make a couple mana, and we'll play Infernal Tutor holding priority. And when you hold priority, that means that you're not allowing the opponent to counterspell. Like, you can still take actions. But once you pass priority, you cannot do this. So we want to discard our hand, so that way the Infernal Tutor will be hellbent when you pass. Because if your opponent passes back, you do not get priority to discard your hand to Lion's Eye Diamond. So now we'll have 6 mana, and we can search our library for Past in Flames, and then I believe Past in Flames wins. So we can then play Past in Flames with no mana floating. Oh, sorry, with 2 mana floating. And then you could play Cabal Ritual with no mana floating. So you would lose to a 3rd Daze drawn off of a clue token. From there, you can play Infernal Tutor for another Cabal Ritual or something like that. And then you play that Cabal Ritual, play a discard spell, play the Tendrils of Agony from your graveyard. So if they draw into Graveyard Hate, that could also be a punish. Alternatively, we could just get Ad Nauseam, which doesn't lose to Graveyard Hate, it doesn't lose to Daze, but you could lose to your deck being poor to you. The upside to Ad Nauseam other than that is we've already removed a 4-drop from the deck, which means that there's just Past in Flames as a 4-mana spell. So you should have a pretty good Ad Nauseam, and you still have a land drop. I believe that the correct play here is Ad Nauseam. So we'll play the Ad Nauseam with 1 mana floating and a land that we can play. Alright, so we have resolved Ad Nauseam. I'm going to slide up my revealed section here. The 3 key on your keyboard is yes, 4 is stop. Alright, so this Echoing Truth would have been a Chrome Mox. Not really a card we want at the moment. We're at 11 life. There's the Past in Flames. We can actually play that. We're safe to keep flipping. There's nothing that can kill me. We'll stop at 3. Play the Lotus Petal. And now we'll play a fetch land. Play Dark Ritual. Our opponent's pausing for a very long time on everything. I have to imagine that they drew Daze or Graveyard Interaction. It can't be forcible, or else they would have countered the Ad Nauseam. We'll play Dark Ritual. Play Duress just so we can get them to quit taking forever. We'll take the Daze. So we clearly made the right move by not going for the Past in Flames line, because it beat the Daze that they drew. And you might be saying, well, that's results-based thinking after you were just saying that you can make the right decision, all that stuff. But this was a free line where I felt like it's not the same, because there was no downside of, like, yes, Ad Nauseam could kill you, but the risk was so low. And I guess that's my point. We do have a sideboard Tendrils of Agony here. I'm just going to go grab that. We'll say yes. Grab the sideboard copy of Tendrils of Agony. Target you. Sweet, we won the match. We're now officially 1-0 with Ad Nauseam Tendrils. Stick around and hopefully you enjoy match number 2. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Are we sure we're not playing 2018 The Epic Storm? Because that's what this hand looks like. I will keep. Back in 2018, 2019, I was running a basic Swamp, Badlands, Ponder, Brainstorm, Chrome Mox. Like, this looks like that. Our opponent plays a turn 1 Thoughtseize off of a Fellmire. I believe that they're on Oops All spells here. So our best draw is probably Infernal Tutor. Or they could take the Chrome Mox and just say, good luck drawing a blue mana. They take Brainstorm. Interesting. Another Lion's Eye Diamond. I'll play Badlands. We'll play out 2 copies of Lion's Eye Diamond. We don't need to tell them about the third. And the third doesn't even really help me here. So we will pass. And then from there, you might be saying, why not, play Chrome Mox and imprint the Ponder? Well, what if I draw a blue land next turn, assuming I get another turn? And if we do draw a blue land, I might want to go all in on Ponder, discarding my hand and making a bunch of mana with Lion's Eye Diamond. So that's not really a play that I want to make. Cabal Therapy. I mean, this does look like Oops All Spells. And they named the Ponder. Okay. Yeah, this looks just like Oops All Spells. Come on, Infernal Tutor. Under City Sewers. Bummer. We'll get rid of the Dark Ritual. Play the Lion's Eye Diamond. And hope that we're not dead. Land number 3. Dark Ritual. And that's an Undercity Informer. So they're going to mill their entire library here, which will trigger Narcomoeba. And then once they bring back the Narcomoebas, they can flashback a Dread Return on Thassa's Oracle and win the game. It looks like the Oracle might be in their hand. So they have to target themselves first with Cabal Therapy, and then they can Dread Return on the Thassa's Oracle. And there it is. So Dread Return on the stack, enters Thassa's Oracle, they have no library, and they win the game. We do have a few copies of Surgical Extraction and the Fairy Macabre. Those are things we want. But we also want some number of ways to beat a possible Leyline of Sanctity. It's less common these days, but it can still happen. So let's bring in a few copies of Echoing Truth, which can also be used to disrupt Narcomoeba, so it's not completely dead. So we're at 65 cards. We have to take 5 cards out here. You most likely could board out basic lands, but I think the Surveil land is actually a little bit worse. So we'll board out 1 land. A thought that I'm having here, and I could be wrong, but Duress doesn't seem amazing versus a deck where their key spells are all creatures, and then they have 8 Spirit Guides. Duress can hit their lands, but right now it's like, do you want to board out Preordain or do you want to board out Duress? And I'm not sure what the right answer is. I think that Duress is probably better than Preordain because this isn't really a matchup where you have a ton of time. And then maybe the basic island. So you're sideboarding down to 13 lands. Or you could board out the Rain of Filth. But Rain does help you be a little bit faster, which matters versus a deck like Oops All Spells. We'll try this. You do lose consistency with this board plan, but I mean, you gain interaction, so you're slowing the game down in a meaningful way. That's the hope. We are on the play for game number 2. I mean, I think we keep this, but this hand doesn't actually do a whole lot. We'd have to draw like a few copies of Cabal Ritual in a row. Did I say Cabal Ritual? I mean Dark Ritual. Our opponent has kept 6 cards. We'll play Underground Sea and Thoughtseize. We have a Cabal Therapy and a Force of Will. Wonder if I'm crazy here if I just take the land. It's probably wrong. We'll just take the Force of Will. Play Lion's Eye Diamond, and then we'll pass. So the reason I didn't take the land is that they still have 2 mana sources in Elvish Spirit Guides. So they only need a black land. Like, if it was a black land, I probably would have taken it. They play the land untapped. Spirit Guide into Narcomoeba. Sure. You got it. You draw Bloodstained Mire. We will Thoughtseize. You drew Dark Ritual. I think we're supposed to take the Cabal Therapy, which seems a little funny. But if they do draw black mana plus Informer, I'm sitting with, 2 cards in her hand that are incredibly good. And they can only take 1 of them. So that's why they played the Narcomoeba on turn 1. They flashback Cabal Therapy. You've got it. Beseech the Mirror. There's not even one of those in my deck. Okay, so they have 3 cards in hand. We don't know one of them. We've drawn Past in Flames. Ay. We'll pass the turn. They draw another land. Burning Wish does not help me here. We will pass. I guess I could Burning Wish for like a Preordain, but that doesn't seem very powerful. Another Narcomoeba. Cabal Ritual. Okay, so I guess if I go get Preordain, we could get closer to Threshold. Okay, fine. We'll grab Badlands. We'll play Burning Wish. I'm sure there's a win here that I just didn't take, which is, yeah, I probably just gave our opponent an extra turn here. So what I could do is Surgical Extraction on Force of Will, play Cabal Ritual, hold priority, discard my hand to Lion's Eye Diamond, flashback Past in Flames, Cabal Ritual Ad Nauseam, but I'd be doing it from a somewhat risky life total. Redraw the Lotus Petal. I want to Preordain. We'll do that. Get rid of the Echoing Truth. Get rid of the Brainstorm. Another Lotus Petal. We will Surgical Extraction on Force of Will with mana. The life is more important here. Their hand has another Cabal Therapy. They did not board in Ley Lines, so they must not have them, which means I could get rid of the Echoing Truths for game 3. And now there's 5 cards in my graveyard, which means I don't have to hold priority on the Cabal Ritual, but, whoops, wrong color mana. But I can. So this is the holding priority thing, so you're not passing to the opponent. We'll add 3 red. So this will give us 8 total mana when the Cabal Ritual resolves. And then we'll flashback Past in Flames. Some of you are probably saying, but Bryant, you could have used the Fairy Macabre on the Narcomoeba. Yeah, I could have. It just doesn't matter. We'll play Cabal Ritual. And now an Ad Nauseam from 13, which is a little sketchy. We do have 1 4-drop out of our deck. Thoughtseize, Duress, Cabal Ritual. I still have a land drop as well. Lion's Eye Diamond. Infernal Tutor. So I believe that just wins. Brainstorm. I'm free to flip here. Another Infernal. We'll stop. So I'll play the land. We'll fetch. Grab Volcanic Island. We'll play Cabal Ritual Threshold. Play the Lion's Eye Diamond. Hold the Control key, and then we'll cast Infernal Tutor. Being weird, I'm going to try that again. Hold Control. And then we'll sacrifice the Lion's Eye Diamond for 3 black. Infernal Tutor. And we'll grab the Tendrils of Agony. Target you. So we've won game number 2, but we're now going to be on the draw for game number 3. So we can get rid of the Echoing Truth and bring back in either land or like Preordains. We'll bring back Undercity Sewers. I want the ability to search it out with my fetch land. And you know what? I'll do 1 Chain of Vapor. This might be a coward's move. No, I'm going to keep 1 Echoing Truth. Like, I've seen some Oops All Spell players switch between on the play and the draw, and I just don't want to be completely cold to a ley line. So I'm going to try this. And I guess it's not completely cold because there is the sideboard Empty the Warrens, but I don't know. So this is a hand where you have double graveyard hate, so you're like, I want to keep this. The downside is you have no lands. And if you don't draw land like very quickly, this game's over. All right, look away. I'm going to keep this. Like, this is sketchy, but I'm hoping that double graveyard hate is enough to buy me time to draw into a land so that I can ponder and play Thoughtseize and all that stuff. They play a turn 1 land into Dark Ritual. They're going for the win. Undercity Informer, yeah. They exile Spirit Guide. So they're all in here. Glad I kept my hand. So there's 3 Narcomoebas on the stack. There's the Thassa's Oracle and the Dread Return. I'm going to attempt to use Fairy Macabre. We'll target Oracle and Dread Return. So now the Narcomoebas. Oh, there's another Dread Return. I see it now. It's up here unless I targeted the wrong thing. No, I did. So they're on double Dread Return. Are they on the Lotleth Giant? Poxwalkers. So there's 1 Dread Return. They do have the Jack-o'-lantern, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to surgical Poxwalkers here, but if they have... I mean, this is tough. Because if they have 2 cards in hand, if one of them is Lotleth Giant, I'm dead. If I take the Memory's Journey, they can't kill me unless they have exactly Lotleth Giant in hand. But if I pass, they can upkeep. So if I take the other Dread Return, which is a choice... Oh, they also have another Oracle? What? They're on double Oracle. So I guess my Fairy Macabre was just wrong. I should have done double Dread Return. I didn't realize that they were on double Oracle. Unless I'm reading this wrong. Alright, so Graveyard. I might have been reading it wrong. Let's go back and look at this again. I think that was the revealed pile. I was looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, I was. Okay, so they don't have another Dread Return. Okay, so that makes this easier. We'll surgical extraction on the memories journey. I guess before I do that, I should count the spirit guides. So there's one up here. There's 3 simians in the graveyard. They don't have another spirit guide in hand. Sorry for taking so long on this. I just want to make sure I'm not punting. So we'll pay life, surgical extraction. And our opponent concedes the match. So our opponent's probably a little frustrated that I took like 5 minutes looking at their graveyard. But it's what I had to do in order to wrap my head around it. It took longer because I was looking at the revealed pile instead of their actual graveyard. But we got the win. That's what matters. We're now 2-0 with Ad Nauseam Tendrils. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Time for the third round. We're on the draw. I'm going to keep this. It's not amazing, but you do have the ability to interact. You have triple discard spell. You have preordain and brainstorm to help find more lands. Like, this is a stable hand. It's just not very fast. All right, so we'll play the Scalding Tarn plus Lotus Petal, and now we'll fetch. I'm going to search out the basic island and then play preordain looking for, ideally, a polluted delta, so that way we could grab the basic swamp. But I do think that these two are just good enough, so we'll keep these. I would have liked to fetch land. I will settle for double dual land. So this opening is a little funny because obviously we're playing Ad Nauseam Tendrils. That said, basic island off of Scalding Tarn and, you know, Lotus Petal preordain, that doesn't look like Ant. It looks like Sneak and Show. So maybe in a... Okay, Undercity Sewers and 2 Teferi Time Ravelers. So some sort of Stifle Knot deck maybe? But maybe our opponent respects us enough, or Doomsday, this could be Doomsday, that they believe that we could have interaction here. Alright, it looks like it's Doomsday and they're just going for it. So I'm punished here by not... What? I guess that's still Doomsday. Okay. Uh-oh. So I could have gone Lotus Petal, used the Lotus Petal into Duress on turn 1. The problem with that line is that, like, we're not winning anytime soon and you're giving up a resource. So I'm clearly punished here, but I don't... Hindsight bias, yes, it was the right move. In the moment, I didn't think it was. So you could take that however you'd like. Just like we were so constrained on mana that I didn't feel like it was a great move. And you were hoping to slow the game down with triple discard spell if you got to untap. So next turn, they could build a pile with just cyclers in it. They have 1 Edge of Autumn. Looks like they just have the win now. They do. So I'm going to click on my Brainstorm and hope that it makes them think twice. Brainstorm resolves. They have a main deck copy of Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. That's interesting. Lion's Eye Diamond. So they built the Brainstorm Cycle pile, and now they'll cycle Street Wraith. Discards a copy of the One Ring. Consider. This will get rid of a card they didn't want with the Brainstorm, which was Ponder. And now they just play Thassa's Oracle. Yeah. So hindsight, should have played the discard spell. In the moment, I'm not convinced it's the right move, but now that I know that they're Doomsday, I will do that for the post-board games. So we want Dress down because it can stop a Thassa's Oracle. Surgical can mess up their piles, or if you can discard Doomsday and then exile it, that's pretty good. We'll get rid of Chrome Mox, and then I think we don't need Preordain in this matchup. Hit submit. On the play for game number 2. Like, we have double Dress down. Maybe we keep this? Like, I'm not sure if this is actually even good. Underground Sea, we'll play out Lotus Petal. Pass. Polluted Delta. The Tendrils of Agony. I don't love that. I would have really liked to have drawn a discard spell there. Undercity Sewers. Orcish Bowmasters. So they brought in Bowmasters. Interesting. Ad Nauseam. Not loving our situation right now. Bowmasters. I'm going to Flash and Dress down. It slows down their clock, And I get to like holding open Dress Down Surgical when my hand doesn't do anything like this is not great. We find Cabal Ritual. They attack for 1, we'll go to 19. And they Brainstorm. They play Basic Island. Still 6 cards in hand. Ponder. And now the Dress Down will go away. Thoughtseize. Okay. We'll play that. The next turn they can play the One Ring. Yeah, I think we just take the One Ring here. And then I'll pass the turn. Polluted Delta. They cycle Street Wraith. So they wanted both cards that were on top of their deck with the Ponder. And one of them could have been a hidden Force of Will. That is a Teferi Time Raveler. So I could try to cycle the Dress Down right now. That would put 4 cards in graveyard. Surgical Extraction would be 5. So between my draw step and the cycle off Dress Down, I would need 2 more cards in the graveyard if I wanted to Ad Nauseam. I think I'm going to do this. Alright, Polluted Delta was a wonderful draw. Now if we could draw into something like a Duress, that would be great. Or Dark Ritual. They're at 16. We will go to 16 off this. I'll be at 15 with the Polluted Delta. And then if I use Surgical Extraction, 13. So Ad Nauseam isn't free here. Another fetch land. They have Dark Ritual, Daze, and 3 Unknowns. We will Surgical Extraction on the Brainstorm. I don't see myself winning this turn, so we're just going to play it slow. And they had another Brainstorm in hand, so now they get a free shuffle off this. Surgical Extraction, Daze, Daze, Force of Negation, Ponder, Dark Ritual. Their hand is pretty good. We will pass. They plus the Teferi Time Raveler, so that they can ponder at instant speed if they so choose. Did you really draw Doomsday? Come on! Why are you like this? Why are you like this? Come on. Oh, alright. They drew the perfect card. So now with the Ponder in their hand, they just have a win. It's completely protected here. So all they have to do is go Ponder, cycle a few times, play my Thassa's Oracle. That's magic. Sometimes your opponent just has it, and you lose. And now they play the Ponder. Sure. Street Wraith. And that's 3 cards. So they could play Oracle even right now, if they wanted to. Because Oracle plus the Teferi Time Raveler is 3 Devotion. And they're just going to draw the whole deck, but they don't even need to. Like, they're protected by Teferi Time Raveler here. You got it. Yeah, so we lost to Doomsday. That happens. We are now 2-1 with 2 matches left to go. You're still watching. Make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Alright, we need a bounce back here in match number 4. We are on the play. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to keep this. I mean, let's try it. We will get rid of the Badlands. I mean, this also feels like an Epic Storm hand. The 1 Chrome Mox just changes the texture of this deck. So something you could do if you're a little crazy is go all in on the Ponder. If memory serves me correctly, our opponent is a Prison player. So you could just decide, hey, I'm going to try to make it so you don't get a turn. So you have 4 Infernal Tutors that would allow that. And then you have 4 Burning Wish. I'm sorry, you have 2 Burning Wish and the Ad Nauseam. So 7 hits out of 54 cards. I don't know if I love it. But if you know that your opponent's a Prison player, is it worthwhile? I just double checked my memory, and they are in fact an Eldrazi Blood Moon player. So Moonstompy, Eldrazi, stuff like that. I think we're going all in on Ponder. Alright, so black, red. This is definitely some 2018 The Epic Storm vibes right now. Ponder. We get 4 looks at 7 cards. Well, apparently they're not on Prison today. That is a Force of Will. Brutal. Just devastating. Okay. Let's see what they're playing. Underground Sea. Is this Doomsday? I mean, it could be Reanimator. Let's brainstorm. Let's see if we would have hit. We would not have hit off the Ponder, but we would have had a shuffle that we could have found off of. Mishra's Bauble. That's an interesting one. So it's probably not Reanimator, so this is likely Dimir Tempo. And I think we do just want to draw Dark Ritual. Like, I don't see the point in shuffling here. So we'll pass. There's also another Dark Ritual on top. Like, if we want to rebuild, these are cards we want. They play Wasteland. We'll pass the turn. I would like to draw one Ad Nauseam, please. They play another Mishra's Bauble. And they look at our top card. You've got it. They draw back up to 6 cards off of the Mishra's Bauble trigger, and now we'll draw for turn. They Wasteland my Polluted Delta, so they don't want me to have the top card. It's an interesting mind game here. I mean, we'll fetch. Grab Undercity Sewers. We do not need Tendrils of Agony. That can go to the graveyard. The Wasteland will now fizzle, and we'll take a draw. Preordain. We'll play it. I think we'll keep the Thoughtseize, but get rid of the Dark Ritual. I would still like to draw one Ad Nauseam. Just one. For those of you keeping score at home, there's only one Ad Nauseam in the deck. But I would still like to draw it. A third copy of Mishra's Bauble. Okay. And another Wasteland. Sure. The basic island. We'll play that. Send the turn back. They finally play Psychic Frog. Come on, deck. Pretty please. Pretty please. Nope. We have to pass. Infernal Tutor just became a good draw, though, if we can draw into it. Like, I wanted Infernal Tutor previously, but we didn't have enough mana to actually go Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize, Infernal Tutor, Ad Nauseam, all that stuff. So, now they attack with the Psychic Frog. This will be 2 damage unless they decide to discard anything else. And they don't. I think I'll hold the Underground Sea for now. We just don't need to play it out into another Wasteland. And this is the part where Psychic Frog starts to snowball. They discard a Dragon's Rage Channeler. So they're actually Grixis. Okay. Moonstompy and Eldrazi decks into Grixis Delver, Grixis Tempo, whatever you would like to call it. They discard a Ponder. So they're all in. Like, they think that they have enough interaction to stop me. They might. Lion's Eye Diamond. We will pass the turn. We're running out of time. So my next draw step needs to be enough to win. Actually, I'm just dead on board. They discard their entire hand and that's lethal. Well, they played a Polluted Delta. They might have just punted. Because now they're 1 damage short. Unless they have Lightning Bolt in hand, but most decks aren't playing Lightning Bolt anymore. They discard a Ponder. Daze. Force of Will. They must have Lightning Bolt. That's the only thing that makes sense here. Another Force of Will. And it puts me to 3. So now they fetch for a red mana and Lightning Bolt. That'll do. We'll take a draw. Our next card was a Ponder, which would have found Infernal Tutor. Okay. We weren't going to beat double Force of Will, though. So we would have lost to that. So we know where we're facing now. I guess that's a benefit. And I don't believe we're supposed to sideboard, so we'll just hit Submit. Game number 2, we're on the play. This hand is slow and steady. Let's try it. I believe I just want to play Undercity Sewers and pass. Because if I hold all my artifacts, I think I want the Cabal Ritual. Because if I hold my artifacts, I could, in theory, go, like, next turn, Lotus Petal, Cabal Ritual, Thoughtseize, Lion's Eye Diamond, Burning Wish into empty the Warrens. Alright, so Scalding Tarn for Volcanic Island, Dragon's Rage Channeler. Mishra's Bauble, Surveil. So that line would make 12 goblins, assuming that everything works. So let's play the Lotus Petal. And let's try a very sad Cabal Ritual. Thoughtseize you. Ooh, they have Bowmasters. That's scary. We'll take the Force of Will, I guess. Actually, maybe it's better to take the Spell Pierce. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. I'll hold Control. We'll play the Burning Wish. And we'll add 3 red. So this will be 12 goblins. We have to beat double Channeler and an Orcish Bowmasters, which is kind of a tall ask. This definitely feels like 2018, the Epics run, by the way. We have the goblins. So they can fetch with Scalding Tarn, putting themselves to 18. They can play a Bowmasters, ping a goblin, and then they can block. So it's 3 goblins down. So the question is, does 8-ish to 9 goblins beat them? And from here it might. Our opponent is attacking. So, I mean, I think I should just take it. Like, they're not going to be able to kill me in time. So the only thing I could do there is play into a trick. And why do that? Swing, baby, swing. So now they'll fetch. Orcish Bowmasters, you've got it. So now they'll ping a goblin, and then they can block 2 goblins, and then they'll take 9. And then next turn they play a Dragon's Rage Channeler, and they can block. So when I attack next turn, they'll go to 1. So I take 3 here to 14. The turn after that, they have to attack with both for 6. And that's a winning game for me. Double Surveil here is pretty good. They get rid of Ponder. And the opponent concedes. Sweet, we're off to game number 3. Our opponent has kept 7 cards. We will do the same. Slow and Steady. This is a very good hand in the matchup. The downside of this hand is that it's not very fast. So if they have a turn 1 Dragon's Rage Channeler into Delirium on turn 2, I would be pretty worried. Or a turn 2 Psychic Frog that gets out of hand. They did not shuffle off Ponder. Dark Ritual is a very good draw. We'll play out the Lotus Petal. And I think now we just want to check their hand with the Thoughtseize. And if they daze, I would pay. Wasteland, Spell Pierce. I think we just take the Spell Pierce here. The other card I would have considered taking is Ponder, but the fact that they kept on top means that they might have a threat on top. And if they have a creature, I don't know if taking the Ponder is a good idea. If they don't, then Ponder is the better take. But now that they're fetching, it tells me that they have Psychic Frog on top, and I like that decision more. Nethergoyf? Okay. Yeah, so I still like taking the Spell Pierce more here. Another Brainstorm. We'll play the Scalding Tarn and pass. So my plan is that I'd like to wait a turn. We can play Underground Sea, Brainstorm, and then go get the basic island with this Scalding Tarn. We could beat the Consigned to Memory later. I'm not ultra worried with that. Like, if we win with Past in Flames, Consigned to Memory just does not matter. We draw into Ponder. Alright, let's try a Brainstorm. No Orcish Bowmasters, I'm a big fan of that. So I could get rid of the Lion's Eye Diamond, because we just don't need it. And it could be countered by Consigned to Memory. And now I'll fetch for the basic island. We'll play Ponder. Duress plus 2 more lands. Kind of don't hate it. We'll keep this. Pass the turn. So right now, we're in a spot where I could try to win soon. My fear is if we don't find Tendrils of Agony somehow. They play their copy of Ponder. They do not shuffle off Ponder. They play a Mishra's Bauble. So now they'll look at a Polluted Delta on top of my deck, which I don't think that they care about. They play Volcanic Island. So we know 2 of their 3 cards left in hand. And then they'll draw another card in my upkeep due to Mishra's Bauble. So now they attack for 4. That puts me down to 10. We'll play the Polluted Delta. And let's play Duress. Force of Will, Daze, double Consigned to Memory. Once again, I just don't care about Consigned to Memory. I think we'll Brainstorm. Just looking for that payoff. We have not found it. Keep the Lotus Petal. And then on their end step, we will fetch for the Undercity Sewers. They swing for 4, I go to 6. So my fear right now is that they drew another Force of Will, or even Orcish Bowmasters, because I only have cantrips. If I found a Burning Wish or a Infernal Tutor, I don't think I would care. We'll get rid of the Ponder, because if Past in Flames resolves, I have tons of cantrips anyway. Another land. Let's try Lotus Petal. Dark Ritual. And now a Cabal Ritual. And I'm going to keep the Polluted Delta in play, because it's a way to shuffle my deck for Brainstorm. We'll play Past in Flames Storm 4. And now we'll play a Duress. We'll take Consigned to Memory. Let's play Brainstorm. Keep the Lion's Eye Diamond here. That's actually a great find. And now we can take the other Consigned to Memory. And now I can play more cantrips out of the graveyard. So we'll fetch, going to 2 life. And now all we have to do is beat a Daze. We'll grab Volcanic Island. Might as well play the Rituals, because I'm going to lose Threshold at some point. So we'll play Cabal Ritual. Like, it's now or never, right? Like, let's just do it. We'll add 3 blue. Play Ponder. This gives us 4 looks. Preordain. That's the same as a Shuffle. Yeah, I'll just take a Shuffle. Another Thoughtseize doesn't help. We'll play Ponder. There it is. Boom! Tendrils of Agony. Cast it. Storm is 13. We just beat Grixis Tempo. We're 3-1 with 1 match left to go. Let's go get it. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? The final match! We're on the play, and we're facing Geodude Jared. For those of you unfamiliar, Geodude Jared is typically a Goblins player who is a host of a podcast called Legacy Small Talk with Romario and Eureka, aka Michael Reed. So this hand would be great, but our action spell is Tendrils of Agony. So you could keep it on the back of Surveil Land into Infernal, Tutor, or Burning Wish. The fear is if you don't draw it. I'm not so sure. I'm willing to risk it. I know that there's going to be some upset and like Ad Nauseam Tendrils players here, but I think you have 2 looks on turn 2 between your Surveil Land and draw step, and I think that's just good enough. Like, there's so many Ad Nauseam Tendrils hands that are super dirtily, and having the ability to just win if you draw Burning Wish, Infernal, Tutor, Past in Flames, Ad Nauseam. I'd also just take a Ponder or a Preordain or whatever. So there's a lot of hits that I'm interested in here. Lion's Eye Diamond, not Goblins. Uh-oh. And they just have the turn 1 dredge into Faithless Looting. We might be dead. We were not fast enough, and now they can flashback Faithless Looting. We need them to not hit Narcomoeba. And they did, so we're in a lot of trouble here. So now they can discard my hand with Cabal Therapies. I mean, I don't know if my mulligan would have fixed this. And they guessed right off of Cabal Ritual, so they take my Dark Ritual here. And then they can Cabal Therapy me again and take Cabal Rituals. Do they have a 3rd Cabal Therapy? They do. They have 3 copies of Cabal Therapy. We're just dead. Alright. That's unfortunate. If I had known the matchup, I would have played out the Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll bring in Surgical Extraction. And then these decks tend to have a lot of ley lines in the sideboard, both Sanctity and of the Void. So we'll bring in some bounce spells. We're at 66 cards. We'll likely take out Preordain. And now we have to find room for 3 more, which is a lot. So you probably don't need 3 bounce spells, so we can cut the Chain of Vapor. Get rid of the basic island if they're not a Wasteland deck. And then maybe the Chrome Mox. We'll try this. Like, you're a deck that wants to be fast. So, like, having the Chrome Mox makes a lot of sense. But you're also trying to slow the game down. And for that reason, I don't think this plan works if you leave in Chrome Mox. Like, yeah, having the 1 of Chrome Mox is really good when you're playing Ad Nauseam, but you're actively trying to slow the game down with Duress and Thoughtseize and Graveyard Interaction and things like that. So we'll try this. The alternative is you could leave in the Chrome Mox and board out the basic Swamp, going down to 13 lands. And I think I'd rather have the consistency of the basic than Chrome Mox, because like you just need lands to play Duress or Thoughtseize off of on the first turn. Alright, let's try that again. Alright, we'll keep. Our opponent has mulligan to 4, which makes me feel a little bit better about this hand. We'll play out Lotus Petal past the turn. They play Mana Confluence, no other play. On the end step, we'll search out that Undercity Sewers. Glad that I did not sideboard it out. There are some people that are like, I just don't want tap lands in fast matchups, and then there's hands like this where you're like, I really want the Undercity Sewers. I don't think I want Thoughtseize. The risk is that you accidentally discard their Dredger for them. Burning Wish. That's actually pretty interesting, because you could get the sideboard copy of Peer into the Abyss, but they're a Cabal Therapy deck, so you don't want to telegraph that. So you don't want to get Peer into the Abyss and pass. And there's Cabal Therapy. Beseech of the Mirror is still not in my deck. Feels good. Feels real good. So they now know about the Burning Wish, so I'm more inclined to play it. They now play Lion's Eye Diamond. Lion's Eye Diamond. I think we'll fetch just to thin here. Grab Volcanic Island. We draw Duress. Let's play the Duress and see what they're working with. Golgari Thug Icarid. We'll play the Burning Wish, and let's go grab that Peer into the Abyss. Pass the turn. So if they draw another land and play the Golgari Thug, we can use the Fairy to exile the Cabal Therapy. And our opponent just concedes. All right, game 3 on the draw. Here we go. For some amount of marbles. So we're on the draw. I think that when we're on the draw, the discard spells are less important. So I'll board out one discard spell for the Chrome Mox. I mean, this is a hand we will keep. They've decided to keep their 7. Once again, Mana Confluence. Putrid Imp. Okay. Lion's Eye Diamond. 4 cards left in their hand. Another Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. We draw Tendrils of Agony. Not really a card that I would like here. We'll play Duress. We get to hit the Cabal Therapy. Okay. We will pass. So in their upkeep, I imagine they're going to have some effects. They discard Putrid Imp. And they don't discard the Golgari Grave Troll. That's very interesting. They attack for 1. I'll go to 19. Sure. So the question is, can they guess the right card with Cabal Therapy? They discard the Golgari Thug. They're keeping the Grave Troll in their hand still. Yeah, I mean, you have a Cabal Therapy. No Dark Rituals here. So they have Golgari Grave Troll in their hand. Another Surgical Extraction. Okay. So we will fetch. Go grab Underground Sea. We'll play Burning Wish. Go grab that cyborg copy of Peer into the Abyss. And then let's Surgical Extraction on the Golgari Thug. Take the one out of the graveyard. That's the most important one. And then you want to take the other. So it's something that happens with newer players to Magic Online is they don't understand how Surgical Extraction actually works. And it's, you could target the card in the graveyard, but it's not automatically removed. So you have to manually remove the card with Surgical Extraction, or else you end up leaving the one in the graveyard. So I imagine they're going to discard their hand here to Lion's Eye Diamond to put the Golgari Thug in the graveyard. And then we show them the rope-a-dope. The fact that we were holding pocket aces and we're going to exile 8 of their dredge creatures. So we'll get the one in the graveyard first, and then the rest of the ones in the main deck. So this will leave them with 4 copies of Stinkweed Imp. So they have to get pretty lucky to win from here, I think. Pass the turn. So next turn, we could fetch with Polluted Delta. That puts 5 cards to our graveyard. That's not enough for Cabal Ritual Threshold. A Thoughtseize. We'll just hang on to that. Actually, should I play it? It is another card for Threshold. Yeah, let's play it. Okay, so that puts me down to 12. On their end step, I can grab the Surveil land. And if I bin anything, that gives me Threshold. So then I would only need to draw 1 mana to win. So we'll fetch with the Polluted Delta. We'll grab Undercity Sewers, Surveil 1. I think we keep Ponder. Just because if it finds Dark Ritual or another Cabal Ritual, that's better and you get more looks. So this is a win next turn. And I can use Brainstorm to protect Peer into the Abyss. So we'll play the Brainstorm. Infernal Tutor. Okay, we'll put Peer into the Abyss on top. Play Volcanic Island and pass. And now we will draw the Peer into the Abyss. Play our land. We might as well fetch, because we're going to lose that life anyway. I guess the difference is, if I select the land, which I'm going to do, our deck is now an odd number of cards. So I guess it was odd number of cards versus losing the life. It probably, in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have done it. I also could have Infernal Tutored for another Cabal Ritual if I wasn't narrating and not thinking about it, which is probably the right play to do, is go get another Cabal Ritual. But we'll be fine. The world is our oyster. Exile an extra Infernal Tutor. Play Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual. Play a Rain of Filth because I can. Lotus Petal. Play another one. Lion's Eye Diamond. Another copy of Lion's Eye Diamond. Boom! We got the 4-1. Feels good. What did I think of the deck list? I have no real feedback. I mean, we lost against Doomsday. It's a deck that's really, really good in the combo mirror match. So I don't really have much feedback other than that. Like, we beat everything that wasn't the deck that's built to beat the combo mirror. So deck felt really good. Congratulations again to Hanlin X, who top 8'd or top 4'd Eternal Weekend Europe. I didn't get to play Torment of Hailfire. I'm a little disappointed by that. But you know, maybe in the next video we'll get to enjoy that luxury. So thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, keep storming. Hey you, yeah you, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested, you can visit theepicstorm.com/donation decks to see your combo deck here on this very YouTube channel. You can even join me in a video in the Epic tier. It's totally worth it, I promise. And see ya. Thanks for watching.